Good evening and welcome to ET Now Startup Central, India's first and only daily show dedicated to startups, technology and entrepreneurship. I'm Chandra Shrikant coming to you live from India's startup capital, Bengaluru. And we kick it off then with our top story on the show today. This is about WhatsApp CEO Chris Daniels' visit to India. He called on the IT and Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad earlier today to really discuss the issue of fake news. Remember, WhatsApp has been under fire in the last few weeks over lynchings that have cost many people their lives. The government had subsequently cracked down and asked WhatsApp to take more steps to curb all this. After that, we saw WhatsApp take out many ads, modify many of their features in India. But what else has the government asked WhatsApp for? Let's listen in to what Ravi Shankar Prasad had to say.
I had a very productive meeting with Mr. Chris Daniel, the CEO of WhatsApp Group. Sinister development which is provoking crime, like mob lynching, like revenge porn. And you must find solutions to these challenges which are downright criminal and violation of Indian laws. You must have a grievance officer in India and a whole system of that to which people can reach immediately. He should be located in India. Second, you must have a proper compliance of Indian laws. We will not appreciate a scenario where any problem arisen will have to be answered in America only. No, not acceptable. And thirdly, WhatsApp, having become an important component of India's digital story, must have a proper corporate entity located in India. So I'm very happy that he said that we are working with law enforcement agencies to develop our system. He also raised the issue of a payment part. We said we have flagged our concern to the RBI, namely location of financial data in India. The RBI is working the guideline, and he has assured me that whatever guideline RBI comes about, he will comply with that.
In fact, for more details on what transpired at that meeting and is WhatsApp giving any assurances for now, let me go across to my colleague Parisha Tyagi in Delhi, who tracked that meeting today at the IT Ministry.
Yes, WhatsApp CEO came to India and he met Law and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad today. During the meeting, the issues that were discussed have been in news for quite some time now. One of the crucial issue is that of fake news. Over last 1 year, there have been scores of incidents where there have been violence, there have been mob lynching and all of that has been allegedly because of fake messages circulated on WhatsApp, fake bulk messages circulated on WhatsApp. While government has long been demanding that WhatsApp devise a technology to reach to the root of those bulk messages and to reach the link from where those bulk messages are being propagated. Today, Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad put forward the same demand to WhatsApp CEO and said that it's no rocket science to devise a technology to find out where those messages are coming from. As a bargain to the same, Ravi Shankar Prasad also said that WhatsApp may introduce its payment gateway, which it has been asking for quite some time now, if and only if it appoints a grievance officer in India who will attend to all those complaints of fake news. Ravi Shankar Prasad also asked WhatsApp CEO to register WhatsApp as an Indian entity if it wants to start its payment gateway. So these were the main issues discussed today: fake news circulation, prevention of fake news circulation, and the introduction of WhatsApp payment gateway. Ravi Shankar Prasad also said that WhatsApp has largely agreed to all of these demands, so we may soon expect WhatsApp to come up with a feature through which it will be able to find out where all these bulk messages are coming from.
Thanks for that, Parisha. So Ravi Shankar Prasad clearly sending out a very stern message there to WhatsApp, telling them that it's not rocket science to really trace the source of bulk messages, particularly those that could incite violence. But, what will it take for WhatsApp to really implement this in India? Will it be enough? How are they going to screen so many messages and figure out which one could provoke violence. We have two experts joining us on the show this evening. We have Sanjay Jain and we have Amar Sinha also joining in from Delhi from the Center for Internet and Society. Sanjay, I'm going to come to you first. What do you make of the government diktat to WhatsApp? You know, there were many aspects here. They've spoken about how they must set up servers in India. So there is obviously a data localization angle. But they have also said, you know what, it's not rocket science to figure out the source of messages. So just do it. But WhatsApp has operated on end-to-end encryption. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's so popular with all its users. So what will it take for a WhatsApp to really implement this, figure out the source of bulk messages, particularly those that could incite violence?
So, Chandra, I would like to sort of break this up into 2 or 3 different pieces just so we can unpack the whole thing. So on payments, I think what Ravi Shankar Prasad told them was to essentially make sure that they follow the same set of rules that are applicable to all other payment companies in India. And it's really fair that, you know, all players follow exactly the same set of rules. WhatsApp is going to start out in this space as an extremely important player, and it would really not be right to change the rules for them. That being said, I think the same might apply to the messaging side of it, is to say that we really should have a common sort of policy on how messages can be traced or not traced, and WhatsApp should follow that. On the end-to-end encryption part, people were using WhatsApp even before it was end-to-end encrypted. And so I'm not sure exactly how much role end-to-end encryption plays in the public acceptance of WhatsApp. But that said, I really don't want to see WhatsApp reduce the level of encryption or put in backdoors, because technically that would just be wrong. What they might be able to do is come out with a different mechanism altogether, which would allow them to keep the messages unreadable by anybody in the middle, including them, and yet allow for traceability. And while I don't have any concrete suggestions to offer, I'm hopeful that the WhatsApp engineers will be able to come out with, given the exact set of constraints, they should be able to figure out a mechanism to meet those needs.
Right. Amber, coming on that, what is your own take? And is this going to be a trade-off between, the inherent privacy, the end-to-end encryption that WhatsApp entails, with the government now saying that, forget about that, just trace the source of messages, messages that could cause mob violence, that could lead to lynchings. How do you see this playing out? Is this the best that the government can do? Because a lot of people are saying, why should the onus be just on WhatsApp? The onus should also be on the government to ensure enforcement, to ensure law and order in instances where this is happening.
Yeah, so I think what we need to understand here is that the problem of disinformation being propagated through media, and particularly in India's case, the primary medium that is being used is that of WhatsApp. We have to understand that this is an extremely complicated problem which has various elements to it. These are not random incidents which occur over a news media or a social media or a messaging platform, right? There is very clear design behind how disinformation is circulated on these media. And there are sort of distinct socio-cultural factors that are associated with that. So it's a problem that both platforms such as WhatsApp need to address, and also in terms of how the government looks at it is also going to be interesting. Now, Ravi Shankar Prasad said a number of things in his address, and it sounds, it's like you mentioned, that it seemed like a stern message which was sent across to WhatsApp. But what we need to understand very clearly is, in terms of the number of things that he mentioned, how many of them actually directly correlate to the spread of misinformation. So having a local sort of compliance officer in the country, or ensuring that copies of data are localized here, they might make law enforcement's job easier in terms of when they are interacting with the company and when they're seeking information from them. But that doesn't directly relate to the complications of the problem in terms of trying to actually preventing the spread of disinformation on these platforms. Similarly, when we're talking about the fact that WhatsApp, when it's operating in India, has to follow laws in India, that's also, all well and good. But what we need to consider carefully is that are there laws in India that address this problem? Only then the question of their compliance with these laws is a solution to this problem. The final point that he made about how it's not rocket science to try to figure that out, that's the one thing that I think he said which directly relates to combating the spread of disinformation through WhatsApp. And there, much like I think Sanjay said, I don't think a rollback of end-to-end encryption is a viable solution in this case. That before end-to-end encryption was introduced in WhatsApp platform, even though it was highly popular, that was one of the main concerns that existed about this platform. And it was, in fact, as a response to sort of market forces that they introduced this policy. So I don't think it's a viable measure for them to go back on end-to-end encryption. However, having said that, without actually looking at the packet data, there could be ways for them to still trace how the data flow in the case of a particular message which incites violence or which leads to, let's say, things like lynching takes place. So, but it's not going to be as easy as trying to figure out where these messages are coming from. There is no one source that these messages are coming from. Whatever little research that we have suggests that there are elements which are essentially embedded into WhatsApp groups, whether they are family groups or there are other kinds of like society groups, office groups, and then through these sort of elements, what fake news is introduced on these groups, and then it sort of goes viral from there. So it's not that there is a clear pipeline through which
just
fake news
one
enters.
clarification there. Are you saying even without? No, so are you saying they will still not be able to figure out where the messages originated from? Even if they do away with end-to-end encryption?
No, so I think if in case of there could be ways for WhatsApp to take a role to take a more proactive role, where in case of repeated spread of fake news messages by certain users, if that is reported to them, then they could have systems where they could warn those users, suspend their activities for a given point of time, and that need not be done at the back end by them by accessing what message flows through the channel, but there could be other mechanisms of reporting that WhatsApp could introduce, and then it could perhaps play a proactive role in then dealing with those characters.
Right. Sanjay, you spoke about the payment piece, but just one more question on that. The way the message has gone out to WhatsApp is, get your act together on the fake news front, on how messages are originating and going viral. Otherwise, we are not going to give a firm commitment on WhatsApp's payment license in India. Would it be right to read it that way? Because WhatsApp has been in beta mode forever, and then in between there was this huge controversy because the Indian players felt that NPCI was perhaps giving WhatsApp a long rope when it came to the two-factor authentication issue. So do you believe the government is now going to use the payment piece as leverage for WhatsApp to get its act together on the messages front, on the fake news front?
I don't believe that is the case. This is, we do have a system of laws, and really one domain shouldn't be impacting the other as much. But I think both of them have the same solution: to have a presence in India, because that's what the data residency requirements are, to have somebody who can handle grievances. Again, that is the other requirement. So it's just that a common set of requirements are available for both of the issues. I don't necessarily think of, it being a carrot and a stick and tying the two together in that manner. So it's really because the two issues have the same set of solutions that, they're being tied together in this way. But realistically, it's the RBI which grants the licenses and sets the terms and conditions for payment players to come in or not. And on the fake news front, the RBI has pretty much nothing to do with it.
Amber, where do you see this going from here? Closing thoughts from you. Will WhatsApp be forced to accept all these measures, considering India is one of their biggest markets world over? At least they've tried to show that, they are making an effort in the last few weeks. They've taken out full page ads. They've modified some of the features with limits on forwards, with limits on how, only the admin can send messages in large groups. But do you think they will accept all the conditions the government has laid out today? And do they have a choice at all, considering India is one of their biggest markets and messaging could be a gateway for them to get into payment and commerce and so on?
So they might accept the specific conditions that our IT minister spoke about earlier. But the bigger question, according to me, is to what extent those measures actually go towards combating the problem that we're talking about. Specifically, the last condition that he posed with regard to for WhatsApp to figure out a feature through which fake news, the flow of fake news can be tracked on that network. I don't really see how they will go about doing that. There could be other modes of solutions that could be implemented. For instance, there could be APIs that WhatsApp could allow on which some kind of fake news detecting bots could be used on certain groups, which can do sort of fairly straightforward online searches and tag tag information that flows on those groups as potentially suspicious. Those are some of the measures that they can take. And as I mentioned earlier, there could be a reporting system through which specific users, if I am on a WhatsApp group, or if on my contact list, if I can see a particular user who engages in spreading disinformation on a routine basis, then I should be able to report him. Those kinds of measures which involve both proactive use by users as well as proactive vigilance on WhatsApp's part could perhaps be solutions to it. But I don't see a very clear technical solution where they could start tracing the data flow of fake news on the platform.
Right. On that note, Sanjay, Jay and Amber Sinha, thank you so much for joining us on Startup Central and really demystifying what WhatsApp may or may not do as far as fighting fake news is concerned. But the government clearly, taking a very tough stance here, giving them a list of what all they want from WhatsApp in terms of commitment. But moving away from that issue to another top voice that we have on the show today, we're talking about the government think tank Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant. Now, even as a Swadeshi lobby has been pushing for stricter norms as far as foreign investment in e-commerce is concerned, Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant believes that the government must not get into micro issues such as discounting and pricing. This is, of course, with reference to the draft e-commerce policy, which talks about a sunset clause for discounts. I caught up with him last week and also asked him about his views on data localization. Listen in to Amitabh Kant in this interview.
E-commerce policy must be looked at from the perspective of investment and from the perspective of job creation. E-commerce, we are at the beginning of the revolution. We should not do anything which will constrain growth, which will constrain startups, which will constrain job creation. We are right at the beginning and the market is going to be enormous. We should look at 100% growth in e-commerce and it will create a vast amount of jobs. So the government, my belief is, shouldn't get into micro issues of discounting, pricing.
That's right.
Look at investments, look at job creation.
So do you see a case for them to review some of these things?
I think the minister has Mr. Prabhu has already gone on record to say that he will review. He is reviewing the thing. So I'm hopeful that the policy would be progressive and forward-looking.
One common theme that we've seen here is the push for data localization, push for, an India-first approach. Is that the right approach? A lot of people say that it's a little inward-looking. Foreign tech firms will be hurt. Your own take on this?
Well, I'm a great believer in data localization. I'm a great believer that Indian data must be localized and all the servers must be based here. We are all at the same level playing. We can give access to data, but the data must be localized. And it's India's data, so India's data must be kept here. And access can be given to others. And we are at the same playing field. It's all a level playing field, so India can use this opportunity. There will be some hue and cry, but in the long run, India will be the winner with that.
Welcome back to ET Now Startup Central. Time to bring you yet another big voice from Startup Inc. We're talking about Grofirst co-founder and CEO Albinder Dhindsa. Now, Grofirst won the Comeback Kid of the Year award at the ET Startup Awards last week. Now, what really led to that comeback and how are they going to cope in a world that has everyone from Amazon to Walmart to Flipkart to Big Basket going after the groceries category? My colleague Rahul Dama caught up with Albinder Dhindsa. Listen into an excerpt of this exclusive interview.
It's our team which sort of makes it happen. So I think it's good for them. They put in a lot of hard work to sort of, we were in an awkward position. We had to get out of it, grow, do right things for the business. So I think it's very fulfilling in general. It's good to be recognized. I guess that's great. But at the end of the day, I think we still have a long way to go. As I was mentioning earlier, we've just saved a follow-on. We still have to play the second inning. So that's going to take a while.
Still a long, interesting journey ahead.
Yeah.
What lesson did you really learn? What worked from there? Was it the team that stood by you? Was it the fact that you had done enough market research to ensure you had a backup plan really?
Yeah, so I think two primary things which I learned from this. The first one was patient, to be a lot more patient because things sometimes do take time, especially when you're taking, you have to be very confident you're doing the right thing for the business, which we think we were. It's just that it's very hard to be patient when you know that you're doing the right thing, but it's not probably going to show results in the short term. The second is trust. I think we learned to trust our team a lot more, try to get out of their way so that they can do the things that they are trying to do. And I think if you have both, like, they pay off, right? What you have to be careful about is you're doing the right things. It's not good to be patient if you're on the wrong path. So I think we made the decision to sort of go inventory-led fairly quickly because we realized we were not on the right path, not on a very scalable path. From then on, it was a battle to get there as quickly as possible in the best possible way. And for that, you require your team to really execute at a very high level, which I think we ended up doing. So.
Where do things really go from here for now? Because, we're seeing the big boys of e-commerce, so to say, Flipkart, Amazon, and the likes really looking at grocery in a big way. So, so there's, of course, competition there, but how do you really sort of see Grofers evolving in this intense battle?
Yeah, so since the beginning of last year, we've grown 5x, right? And a lot of this competition existed even then. I think Amazon has been in the space for a while. Flipkart has now been in the space for a while. So I think it's not only one factor which influences it. You have to build the right product for the customers. You have to build the right propositions, earn the trust of customers with the kind of products that you put out. So I think what has really helped us is sort of taking the right calls and really innovating on how can we be different, how can we sort of.
We will, of course, be bringing you more and more voices, the top voices from Startup Inc. all through the week. So stay tuned into Startup Central. But on that note, I'm afraid it's a wrap on this edition of the show. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned to ET Now for more news and updates.